Okay, y'all, this is not going to be a video on pre-trip inspections. Nope, not a how-to, but I am going to talk a little bit about pre-trip inspections. What I want to talk about is some things that I think I'm seeing guys miss, some little nuanced things when they're doing their walk around and hooking up and doing their pre-trip. Now, I'm not saying that they're not catching them, but when I'm seeing a lot of things that they're not catching, some things that I've learned to check over the years. And I'm not talking about checking the oil in the belts, just some other little things. Okay, the first thing, when you first hook up your tractor to your trailer, or when you're backing your dolly up underneath that rear trailer, you want to make sure that fifth wheel is hooked, right? So everybody does, they hear the click and they do a tug test on it, make sure that it doesn't come loose, and they go on their business. Well, I've learned and I've heard of, I've not done this myself, I don't think, that of guys hooking up, hearing the click, doing the tug test, and then going around the corner and that trailer slide right off that fifth wheel. So what you got to do is, I'm not looking on the other side because of the sun, you got to check that handle, make sure that whatever indicator is on that specific brand of fifth wheel shows to be in all the way. Then you got to get up under here, look up underneath there with your flashlight, and make sure that those jaws are connected, right? Different brands look differently, so you need to familiarize yourself with whatever brand fifth wheel your company uses. And like us, we got several different kinds, so they all look a little bit different. You gotta familiarize yourself with that and make sure that puppy's hooked, because it's one, dangerous, and may cause you to lose your job, right? So another thing is, as you walk around, everybody bumps their tires, right? They either kick them or hit them with a hammer or a tire thumper, but I don't see guys really looking into detail at how the condition of their tires. They may glance at the tread and see how it is, but what I've learned to do is also check, make sure real quick that all those lug nuts are connected and the hub looks in good condition, that it's not throwing oil all over the place. Now, you would think that would be obvious, right? But people miss it, I guess, if they don't really look closely enough. Another thing is, what I've learned to do is get down in here and look in between these tires. Look on the inside sidewall, right? Because I've found several with bulges on the sidewall, which are just gonna get bigger, and eventually they'll just blow out. Another thing I've noticed mostly on the inside sidewalls of these tires is, every once in a while, there'll be a little slice or a slit where the rubber's separating along the rim of along the rim of the wheel. And I don't know why it is that I'm mostly noticing it on the inside sidewalls. I'm sure I've maybe seen some, people are catching them on the outside sidewalls and getting them fixed before I see them. But I don't see a lot of people checking those inside sidewalls. You got to check those, right? Now, in between trailers, when I hook up, I spot my dolly, then I check my tires and do the walk around when I spot the dolly on the rear trailer. And then when I hook the tractor up to the front, I do the same thing on the front tractor. One thing you got to do, especially I think on these pups with single axles, you got to check underneath. I don't think you can see it under there. You got to check underneath on those axles and make sure the airlines are not resting on that axle. That for sure is a DOT violation, I know. So if I find one that's resting on there, I take it by the shop. They zip tie it up off the axle, taken care of. Another thing you check when you get down under here is your brake chambers. I've had a couple where I've checked, and the brake chamber, the welds on the brake chamber onto the axle have broken, and they're just hanging there. So they're not going to work right? Make sure they're even and welded on the way they're supposed to be on your trailer. The last thing I want to talk about is safety chains. Now, on this set I got here, on this dolly that I got, These chains are, the attachment point is close to the front, right? So what you're looking for is that the chains are crossed. Now, I don't know if this is everywhere, but in Texas DOT wants to see those chains crossed as they're hooked onto the front trailer. Now, I've had a couple that, what I've noticed on ones that are longer chains with an attachment point farther back on the dolly, I'll throw a picture of one up here, that not only guys are either not crossing them, usually they come from the east coast somewhere, and I'm getting them in Dallas to go on, they're already hooked. They're not crossing because they either don't know or where they're from doesn't require it. But Texas, they want to see them crossed. Another problem I'm seeing them doing is not just crossing them, but actually twisting the chains around each other and then hooking them on, one or two twists. Now, I don't know for sure that that's a DOT violation, but I know it doesn't make the chains any stronger. It makes them weaker. And I know that from my years flying on C-130s and tying down rolling stock and all that kind of stuff. Crossing chains is fine, but once you twist them, it weakens the tensile strength of the metal in the links. So those are just some things that I've noticed that I'm sure I've missed years past, but I've developed these little checks to make sure the details, especially before I leave the yard, right? Get it fixed there. We're only taking 10, 15, 20 minutes. Out on the road, it's hours. So go down in the description, check out all my links. Send me an email if you want. If you want to come to work for Saia, send me an email and I'll send you my referral information. The Saia employment website link is also down in the description. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. I'd appreciate that. Like this video for me, and we'll see you later.